Welcome back to Narrations by Sean. More entitled people stories, and these are crazy. Story 1 is titled, Entitled Man Throws a Temper Tantrum When I Won't Let Him Break the Health Code. Posted by Besides Running Waters. This happened several years ago during my 31 female tenure as a server at a restaurant in a decently touristy area. I have an entire smorgasbord of wild stories. Local politicians getting huffy at not getting special treatment, a 90-year-old man threatening to spank me, lawyer parents arguing why their 16-year-old daughter should be allowed to drink as though it were a courtroom, etc. Along with your average restaurant, no one matured past high school work environment. Without getting too specific about where I was, the restaurant was somewhat dog-themed, in the name and like 2 of the decorations, but outside of that, it was largely just a pub-style restaurant, but with our name, most folks expected us to be a dog-friendly establishment. Unfortunately, shortly before I started working there, the health department had begun to crack down on restaurants in the area allowing dogs in, which was against the health code. As such, in an effort to live up to our name, management chucked off an arm and a leg to get permission to have a dog-friendly section on the patio. Part of the permission came with several rules like dogs can't sit in chairs or on tables, or dogs must be on leash or in carriage, or dogs must have a separate entrance and exits. Stuff that, if you sit down and think about it, it makes sense for protecting people who may have an allergy or phobia or any other reason to avoid a dog in public. The following happened shortly before my 20th birthday, in the middle of summer. It was cloudy, it was humid, bugs were flying, and absolutely no one wanted to sit on the patio. I was hostess that day, and I felt really bad for my patio server who wasn't getting any business until, lo, a middle-aged woman appears. I'll call her Unentitled Woman/Wife, or UEW for short. Hi, my husband and I have a dog and we're hoping to sit on the patio. Great, just give me a second and I'll get you set up in the dog-friendly section. I collect their menus and lead UEW outside to find her husband, who I will lovingly refer to as Entitled Chair Guy, or ECG, along with their cute elderly beagle already sitting in the dog-free section. For the record, all the patio tables have signs on them denoting them as dog-friendly or dog-free to make it easy for people. So had this ECG been using his eyes, could have easily solved our first encounter before it began. Me and my chippiest customer service voice. Hi sir, just so you know, you're in the dog-free section right now. But if you move over just one table, you'll be in the dog-friendly section and we can get you started. ECG looks up from his phone. His dark, beady eyes meet mine. ECG in a seething tone, "Are you serious?" Now, I'm a bit taken aback at the hostility at such a basic request, but I'm no novice in crappy customers. I repeat the rules and explain that it's due to the restaurant needing to follow the health code. He continues to protest. His wife jumps in and starts pleading that it's just one table. Why don't we just move? And now I feel even worse for her. Finally, he throws his hands up in the air and shouts, "Fine, if my dog gets hit by a car, are you the one I sue?" Context: the dog-friendly section was adjacent to the sidewalk, which was adjacent to the road. So if you were going to get hit by a car, it was technically the most likely spot. It also had never happened in the restaurant's multi-decade lifespan. At this point, my irritation meter is firmly in the red, as I realize he's one of those entitled people, the ones who spit and threaten when they don't get their way. I shoot an even smile and say, "That's probably a question for my manager. Heck, or my attorney." He really thinks he got me with that zinger as I'm setting him down in the dog-friendly section, but I'm really just hiding laughs because these are the most pathetic kinds of people we serve. I just warn his server that he's a douche and go on with my day. Later, I bring a bowl of water for the dog because it's hot and gross and the poor thing shouldn't be dehydrated. You know, it was standard practice for us to bring dogs water while their owners ate. I set it down and immediately, Is this tap or bottled water? Me, fighting the urge to deadpan. It's tap water, sir. Would you like me to go out and buy bottled water? At that point, the dog begins drinking and ECG slams his hand on the table and shouts, "Well, it's too late now. Let's better hope it's not poison." Now, this guy has me wondering if his dog is up to date on its shots or if he's an anti-vaxxer. His server told me later he poured out the water. I have no clue if she was referring to his water or the dog's water, but he loudly complained there were bugs in it. I'd like to remind you, dear reader, that it was a disgusting, humid, muggy summer day, and this man decided to eat outside. While I do understand the initial revulsion of seeing a bug in your meal or drink, he was in the bug's world, dear reader, not ours. And we had no control over that. We still replaced his water though. About 20 minutes later, his entree is ordered and he and his wife are eating an appetizer. The dog is chilling, and some other mad soul walks inside and asks to sit on the patio. Just to be petty, I put him in the chair ECG had originally commandeered, but then I look over. ECG had his beagle in his lap while he was eating his food. If you remember from about 10 years ago, when I was explaining some of the mandates we got from the health department, one of them was dogs can't sit in chairs or on tables. While some of you might contest it, the dog being in his lap constituted being in a chair, in the health department's eyes. Now, I didn't want to deal with this, but I knew that between me and his server, on the 1 in a million chance that a health official just happened to walk by and see us breaking the rules, one of us would get thrown under the bus. So as UEW goes inside to order a drink from the bar, I slap on my customer service voice and stroll over to their table. "Hi sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need to tell you that it's unfortunately against the health code for your dog to be in the chair with you." ECG goes silent for a few moments, simmering until... "Show me the health code." "Excuse me? I'm not going to do anything unless you show me the health code." At this point, my patience is wafer thin. This man is finding ways to push all the most annoying buttons rather than just following a basic rule and letting us all get on with our days. Rather than continue with him and lose my temper, I go back inside to cool down and find a manager. I find one. We go into the office and she prints out the list of rules emailed to us by the health department. Then she holds up the paper to me and says, "Now, this can go one of two ways. I can take this down to him and you never have to see him again. Or you can take this down to him and get that smug, satisfied feeling of telling an a-hole you were right." This is where I may have erred, dear reader. For you see, I really didn't want to see this MFer again. His beady black eyes, his thin, greased black hair, his rubbery white skin. The man looked like death himself. Stoking that fire to sate my ego could go terribly wrong. Foreshadowing? But I really wanted that smug, satisfied feeling of telling an a-hole I was right. What can I say? I wasn't even 20. Mustering my courage, I take the paper, and as I walk back outside, I internally hype myself up until I'm strutting over to ECG's table. I hand him the paper. "Hi, sir. Here's the health code as you requested. As you can see here, it says we cannot allow dogs to sit in the chairs, or we get a massive fine." ECG takes the paper and peers down at the rule carefully, then analyzes the whole paper as if looking for a loophole. But he must not have found one, because instead, he throws the paper on the ground and says, "You can shove that up your butt." This man finally gave me a reason to drop the customer service voice, which for the record is very light and high-pitched. My normal speaking voice is surprisingly deep and not as cheery. So I glare down ECG, drop my register and growl, "Sir, put the dog down or leave." This startled him at first, but he, being a man with an attorney, and me being a short little waitress working for pennies after all, regathers himself quickly. He scoops up his dog in his arms, stands, then takes his heavy metal chair and flings it behind him. It goes under our railing and nearly strikes two random women walking by. And then, dear reader, the piece de resistance. He sits down on the ground with his dog in his lap. Now at this point, I've seen a lot in my service industry career. I can handle someone throwing a temper tantrum. I can't handle someone throwing a chair. Luckily, the two women he very nearly assaulted knew exactly what to do. They leer over him from behind the railing and begin screaming, gone full Karen for justice on this guy's butt. The more they screamed, the more he shrank, and we'd attracted a small crowd of attention. Then they turned their gaze to me. "Oh my gosh, sweetie, are you okay? You know, we're from Brooklyn and even we find this appalling." Suddenly, I snapped back to reality and realized I'd been rescued. I laugh and join a conversation with the women and the pouting man between us. I not so suddenly bemoan the immaturity and entitledness I saw on a regular basis. Overall, they were very sweet. Finally, ECG's server comes out, UEW in tow. She'd been inside the whole time, completely unaware of her husband's outburst. She looks utterly horrified and ashamed. Their server lets me know that the manager is on their way immediately. We file inside and all the employees crowd around a nearby window to watch as our manager goes out. ECG keeps sticking his finger in her face, speaking through gritted teeth, looking like he's about to pop a vessel. All the while, UEW is mortified, and our manager is bored. Finally, they leave. My manager comes back inside and tells us, "Okay, he called me a see you next Tuesday and told me to go F myself, and if he ever comes back, we're calling the police." When I picture that guy, I picture if entitlement was a superpower. On to story 2. Story 2 is titled, Walmart Karen Tries to Steal My New Scooter. Posted by Purple Princess. I've encountered a Karen as a kid once, and one who was harassing someone else, but until today, never one of my own as an adult. So after fighting disability for 15 years, I finally got my mobility scooter. It's been a godsend, and the freedom is a wonder. But as I'm sure we've all learned from Reddit, these things are a Karen magnet, and I learned it firsthand today, and on only my 5th time out on it. So first, quick background. I live in Surrey, BC, and my local Walmart has presently precisely 0 scooters for customers. They had 4, but they were all either stolen or broken. So I'm in Walmart today just looking for a snack, when suddenly I'm on the floor. It took me a moment to realize what had happened, as I saw a woman, I'm guessing in her late 40s, taking my bags off my scooter. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted. She sneers at me and replies that she's taking the store's scooter because fat losers like me don't need it. She was, of course, perfectly able-bodied. Luckily, I've read enough Karen stories by now to know that if she was stupid enough to mistake a brand new mobility scooter with my name on it for one of those cheap gray scooters with the used shopping baskets on it, there was no point in even trying to reason with her. So I just shouted, "Security!" at the top of my lungs as she went wide-eyed and tried to get on it to drive away. Luckily, some staff were nearby. Plus, this Walmart had put up railing, so the only way to exit the store was to pass through the registers. She had no real way to escape the store. The staff that were trying to help me up called security, and of course, they caught her. She kept insisting that it was the store scooter, that I didn't need it, yada yada. I pointed out where my name and number were engraved on it, but she stuck to her guns. Police were called, and after reviewing the footage, it was clear that she flat out assaulted me to get me off the scooter. And I was on camera entering the store from the mall entrance. She was of course arrested, and I got the customary gift card they always give victims of Karens and a quick story to tell. Luckily, I think the worst I got from the fall was a bruised hip and a sprained wrist. Not the craziest story this sub has ever had, but still thought I'd share it while it was fresh on my mind. Update. Spoke to an RCMP officer this morning, and because they have the store's security footage, I can avoid having to come to court for her assault charges if I write out a victim impact statement. So she's being charged with assault, along with the theft of over $2,000 charge. US equivalent is grand larceny, I believe. Also, please stop telling me to sue or lie to the police about my injuries. This is Canada. For one, we're not lawsuit happy up here. And secondly, since I'm not seriously injured, odds are the most I'd be awarded is maybe $100 to $200. It isn't worth the physical stress it would cause the disabled woman in the mobility scooter. Wow, what two morons. You know that first guy's headed for divorce. Well, Judge, I had to throw the chair. I just had to. They wouldn't let Pookie sit in my lap while I was eating my salad. It's the principle of the thing. Those two women didn't get hurt. They should have ducked out of the way. This is exactly how crazy people like this think. They probably wonder why they don't have any friends or don't get invited anywhere. And now they're probably online complaining that they're getting shunned. And the second one? Wow. You go to Walmart, maybe to get some eggs, milk, butter, and cheese, but you leave with a police record and you go all Grand Theft Auto, knocking people out of scooters that they need? What is wrong with these people? We may never know, but if they keep doing it, we'll have plenty of stories to go over together. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes today. If you like the way I'm doing this, please like, share, and subscribe. Help me grow this community so we can keep hanging together. I had a great time today and I hope you did as well. We'll see you next time at Narrations by Sean. Have a great day.